In what ways does your media product use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? My music magazine in general does conform to the common forms of actual magazines on sale because I have used the general colour scheme of red, white and black, usually found in music magazines, to show that it is a music magazine, as opposed to a fashion magazine, for example. I chose to use the red as a highlight on my pages because I felt it stood out the most, and I didn't want to overcrowd the page with red. I used a white background to make the page look clean, but when using white means that any colour wouldn't clash. The black was used for the cell lines as it looked more professional and also made them easy to read. I chose to keep the layout of the front cover, the contents page and the double page spread relatively simple so that they don't look fussy and allow the readers to see what the magazine is offering. For the front cover I had the main image in the middle of the page to draw the reader's attention. I then had the cell lines and other images around the outside. This was so that their faces weren't covered, which would make the magazine look unprofessional, and also this allows more people to find my magazine, as more pictures and cell lines mean that there is more choice in my magazine for a wider target audience. On the content page, I decided to have the numbers down the left-hand side, with the contents in the middle followed by the images on the right, so that as you flick through the magazine, the first thing you will see are the pictures. This gets more people reading the magazine because my target audience said that they preferred more images to writing, and they will be more likely to read an article if they have seen the artist they like first. I had the page numbers in big on the left-hand side because they are the least important section of the contents page, but the size allows them to be viewed more easily and quicker. For the double page spread, I tried to keep the page simple so that it wasn't too busy when trying to read the article. Again, the main image was on the right, so it will be seen more easily. I had the majority of the writing on the left-hand side so that the image could be as large as possible, and this also meant that the readers don't get confused about what to read first. For the font, I kept them the same throughout the magazine to keep with the house style and make it look more professional. The masthead of the magazine used cool beams, as this font is simple and easy to read, which is very important for a masthead. For the cell lines and the writing on the inside of the magazine, I used Arial Rounded MT, as it was easy to read when in bold and also doesn't distract from the masthead or the images. On the front cover I used 2 images plus the American flag. I chose to do this to add more variety onto the front cover and to differ from the majority of magazines that only use 1 image. I wanted to allow my target audience more choice when picking up my magazine, as they don't have to like the band in the main image, but they could like one of the smaller images and buy the magazine for them. On the contents page I added more images of the artists featured in the magazine, so that people don't have to spend time reading the content page. They could just look at the images and see who they want to see. I decided to only use 1 image for the double page spread, as I didn't want to overcrowd the page. How does your media product represent particular social groups, and who would be your target audience for your media product? The target audience that I am going to aim my music magazine at is young adults aged between 15 and 25. I have chosen this age group because I feel they are the ones who listen to the pop genre the most, and so will be the most interested in my magazine. I have chosen colours that represent the pop genre and make the reader notice the cover on the shelf. I used the layout to attract my target audience by avoiding the simple column style and having images overlap, and I placed some at an angle. What kind of media institution might distribute your media product and why? I think that an independent media institution might distribute my magazine because it would allow the magazine to have more freedom with what goes in. This would mean that the articles would be individual and none of the magazine editions would be the same, as they wouldn't be regulated, allowing for a more unconventional magazine that would attract more people. This would also mean that smaller bands and artists would be included in the magazine, because the magazine could be more local, allowing newer artists to be heard and advertise themselves to a wider audience. If the magazine used an independent media institution to distribute, then I think it would be in local newspaper shops and local businesses, as it wouldn't have the backing that larger companies could offer, but it would be more personal and offer more in-depth articles. How did you address your target audience? I wanted to attract my target audience through the use of pictures, as they would catch the reader's attention as they passed and allow them to quickly see who is featured in the magazine. I would also attract my target audience by featuring artists that are well known in the pop genre from time to time, so that people are more likely to read the magazine. In each edition, I would also think about the colours that are used, so that they correspond with the season, fashion, and the artists featured, so that the colours don't clash and make the magazine look unprofessional. What have you learned about technologies from the process of constructing this product? During the process of construction, I have learnt the most about how to use Photoshop. Before starting the task, I didn't really know anything about Photoshop, but this process has taught me how to apply and edit photos effectively, add text and special effects to make certain parts stand out more than the rest. I have also learnt how to create a Prezi presentation successfully and create an interesting and noticeable blog throughout this process. Looking back at prelim tasks, what do you feel you have learnt in the progression from it to the full product? Looking back at my prelim tasks, I can see that I have learnt how to create a professional and interesting magazine front cover. I have learnt that a colour scheme is very important because on my prelim cover I had many colours, making the front cover look unprofessional and confusing as there was too much to look at. I also learnt about editing photos and the style in which the photos should be taken. On the prelim cover I used images that had backgrounds on, making it difficult to cut the pictures to fit onto the cover easily. I also found that the font I used didn't look sophisticated and made the overall look of the magazine childish. The general layout of the prelim front cover was acceptable. However, I had the main image covered by the masthead and the cell lines, making the image disappear into the background so it couldn't be seen as easily.